On this week's episode of the Books, Booze, and BS podcast, we discussed The Lonely Hearts Book Club by Lucy Gilmore. We'll also talk about the public library system and the Winter Olympics. Happy listening. Welcome to this week's episode. My name is Mike Jakubowski, your host. I am joined today by Sarah, Janene, and Julie. Julie is brand new to the podcast this week, so welcome to your first episode. As always, we ask our new guests to give a couple of fun facts to share with our listeners, so I will hand it over to Julie.
Oh, thank you for having me. My fun facts, let's see. I am a writer like Mike, but not like Mike. I'm a grant writer, a little bit more, technical. And I have a deep and abiding love for Dave Matthews Band. I've seen them over 50 times and have a tattoo on my back of me that Dave Matthews drew. And I guess I can touch my nose with my tongue, so that's always a fun party trick. So yeah, that about cuts it.
That's cool about Dave Matthews drawing your tattoo.
Yeah, it's Rapunzel. I said my nickname was Rapunzel, and he drew me in a castle, and he wrote Julie Rapunzel because they had the song named Rapunzel.
Aww.
And so I had to have it tattooed on my back.
Sarah, how jealous are you?
I'm a little jealous right now, and I'm also confused that I didn't know you were this much of a Dave fan.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm going to have to see your tattoo at some point.
Yeah. I think this summer will be show 57, 8, 9, I don't know, somewhere. It's up over the 50s, definitely.
That's where my husband's at with shows he's seen. I got convinced to be a Dave Matthews fan in college. I kind of protested because my older sister liked him in high school, so I wouldn't like them. But then my roommate and my boyfriend, now husband, are big fans. So
my friend in college introduced me to them, and it was literally like, if I could write music, this is what would be coming out of my brain.
Yep.
And so I remember first time hearing songs that, where I was, what I was wearing. Like it's one of those core memories that
Yep.
it always stays with you. So yeah.
Yay.
Well, thank you for those fun facts. Maybe Sarah and I will join you at a Dave concert in the future.
Oh, I would love that.
But not the Meadows. Somewhere else.
Where we might be snobs about there's better places to see him.
It's actually like going up to Saratoga with a Treehouse Brewing across the street.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Last year we went to Saratoga and camped for the weekend and saw him twice, and it was amazing. And we'll do that again this year. And I convinced my husband to go what's usually the following week to Guilford, New Hampshire, and camp also and see him on both nights. So we're just going to follow him around a little bit this summer.
That's perfect.
Nice. Yes.
So what is everyone drinking tonight, Julie?
I am having a High Five black cherry cannabis seltzer.
Ooh.
That my daughter picked up for me in Massachusetts, and it is delightful. It's very good.
I had an apple cider one, I think on the first episode. It was phenomenal. It tasted just like fresh apple cider.
Oh.
And then I found some the other day and I was like, oh my God. And I noticed it expired in like September. I'm like, ooh, it's fresh apple cider. That might not be good.
Sounds a little risky.
Yeah. Sarah, what are you drinking?
I am having an Aperol Spritz.
Oh.
Like it was a spritzy night.
I almost went spritz, but decided not to.
And I'm using I'll confess, I'm using the little bottles of champagne, and it didn't feel like enough, so I may have brought a second one upstairs with me.
I think that's a good choice. Solid choice.
Yeah.
Janene?
I'm keeping it kind of simple. I'm doing a vodka tonic. I was gifted these Busby elderflower tonic waters, so I've been kind of making my way through them. They're really delicious. So yeah, I'm just keeping it light.
I think I'm also going a little light. So I made a homemade long drink. I'm not sure if everyone in the call has had a long drink before.
No.
But essentially, like it's a canned drink, kind of like a seltzer, but it tastes like Fresca.
Huh.
And it's gin based.
Oh.
And I don't like gin, but I like long drinks, so I just made a long drink with gin and a can of Fresca.
I was gonna say, what did you use? Did you use Fresca?
I sure did.
Nice.
All right. Did anyone make the treat of the week, which was the leftover candy chocolate chip cookies?
So I did, but I missed the note about using leftover candy.
So you just made the recipe as is.
Yeah, so I just made the recipe, which was suspiciously similar to Toll House Cookies recipe, but I am recently gluten-free, and I did it with almond flour, and they were amazing. Like, they came out kind of flat, so we kept calling them the Cookie Crisps because they were, like, kind of flat, but it did help. The second batch, I put the dough in the refrigerator
So it wouldn't
before I
spread.
yeah, so I scooped on, and so they weren't quite as flat after that, but they were so delicious. I don't know if it was the difference with the almond flour or if it was the difference that I didn't feel like garbage after I ate them because they were gluten-free, but yeah, they were really good, and my whole family was like, "These are amazing." So
This is my go-to chocolate chip cookie recipe now, and they actually freeze really well. So like I freeze pretty much half the recipe in dough balls, and then bring them out once in a while when I need a cookie.
That's what I was going to intend to do, but then I did not get around to it this weekend.
You can make them this week.
Yeah.
Apology.
Yeah. I think maybe I will make them this weekend, especially since I know that snow is coming, and that's like my favorite thing to do is eat
Ooh,
cookies and drink hot chocolate in a snowstorm.
that's a good idea, Janene.
So I made my batch 2 different ways. I made one with Toblerone crushed up, and then the other one I did with Reese's peanut butter cups and crushed up Kit Kats.
Nice.
ooh.
Sounds delicious.
Yes, they both came out, I think, pretty good. Brendan got mad because he ate the 2 I gave him and then went to get a third one, and he really wanted the Toblerone one, but grabbed the Reese's one instead.
Oh,
Reese's are delicious.
Yeah,
they are
true.
delicious. It's not like when you grab a chocolate or what you grab thinking it's a chocolate chip cookie and then it turns out to be oatmeal. Even though
Ugh.
oatmeal is good, you wanted a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
That is the worst.
That's a pretty big swing.
And what is the best thing everyone ate last week? Sarah.
There's a really good bagel shop down the street from our house called Seed Bagelry, I think. And they have really good bagel egg sandwiches. And so I got the Miss Figgy, which is bacon, egg, cheese, fig jam, pesto, and sriracha, and a cheddar bagel. And it's like one of the best things ever. And I get a London Fog tea latte with it. And if I could go there every morning and not gain 100 million pounds, I would, because it's really good.
You love a London Fog.
I do love a London Fog.
Julie?
I had a London Fog last week myself. I do love a London Fog. I went to New York City and I had a London Fog there, but that wasn't the best thing I had. I also went to my favorite restaurant called Joe Allen's, and everything I've ever had there has been amazing. But they had this salad with, it's not going to sound great, but the most delicious kale I've ever had in my life, and beets and apples and pomegranate seeds and goat cheese and pumpkin seeds and chicken, and it was just so good. You know, when you're looking at the menu and something just keeps jumping out at you and you're not sure what you want and it just keeps calling your name, and that's what I got, and it was delicious.
And there's something to when someone else makes you a really good salad.
Yeah.
Oh, you can never make it
all
the
the
same at
work.
home.
No.
I know, and I tried this week, and I don't know that it came out as good as theirs, but it definitely didn't. It definitely wasn't as good as theirs. I don't know. It was maybe the vinaigrette that they used. I don't know, but it was out of this world.
Yeah. Nice.
Janene. I should remember who I had left.
That's okay. So we tried a new restaurant this week. So there is a restaurant that opened up in the center of Windsor called Station 1633. And they're in the old, I think it used to be called Union Tavern spot. And I ordered the Cuban. And so it's like smoked pork, ham, pickle, Swiss cheese, Dijon mustard, which I love. And it's on sourdough, and it was really delicious. I'm always iffy about trying new restaurants, especially when I'm really hungry, because sometimes you just like, "Ugh, I just want what I want." But we were just feeling like lazy. We didn't feel like going far. And so we're just like, hey, let's try this place. And it turned out to be a good decision.
And you'll go back.
Absolutely. Yes.
I just wrote it down because my in-laws live in Windsor. And so I'm like, ooh,
Yes.
this place in Windsor.
I can take them there. And we also got for the starter, it's like a sesame firecracker shrimp. And that was also delicious.
Interesting.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I had a boring food week for the most part, but I've been craving a Philly cheesesteak from Joey Garlic's for a while. And so we finally got one on Saturday, and it definitely hit the spot in between the snowstorms.
Smart.
Yeah. I love Joey Garlic's.
All right, so let's discuss The Lonely Hearts Book Club by Lucy Gilmore, and we'll go around the circle, do our normal roundtable. Your thoughts on the book? Did you like it? Is there anything you didn't like about it? Is there any favorite passages or sections or quotes you want to share? I'm going to start with Sarah.
So I loved this book. It was one of those books that made me so happy when I had a chance to sit down and read it. Such an easy, fun read. I thought the book was going to flip back and forth between the two characters of Sloane and Arthur and just go back and forth, back and forth. But then I loved it because it was actually in the perspective of the 5 main characters. And so it was one section about Sloane, one about Maisie, and so it was really interesting to get the point of views about the person, but then also about all the other characters from the different perspectives. At first, it did throw me off a little bit because the pronoun changing, and when you first start reading, you're like, oh no, I'm not reading from Sloane's point of view anymore, it's someone else's. But once you get over that, I just thought it was such a delight. And so the premise basically, again, no spoilers, but spoilers, all the spoilers. Sloane is a librarian, in her 30s, and there's a grumpy old man, Arthur, that comes into the library. And it's just all about them becoming acquaintances and rivals and friends, basically. And my favorite is that it's in all the different people's point of views. And at the end, you're in Arthur's point of view. And he basically admits to so many things he was being grumpy about. At the end, he's picking a book and he wants to pick the longest book so that everyone has to stay around at book club. And he admits to loving a book that he's been making fun of the whole time, which I just thought was such a delight. And I think it was one of those books where there was a really nice plot and some good themes, but it didn't overwhelm the characters as much. I really loved learning about all the characters, and the plot made it interesting enough, to read through the whole, and you wanted to know how it ended. So I had a couple quotes. I didn't write down too many quotes for this one. But when we're in Maisie's point of view, she says, hearing Sloane and Arthur talk about books was like listening to a song in another language. The message didn't always make it through, but that didn't mean you couldn't appreciate the melody, which I think is nice. And especially when we're all talking about books, different people pick up different things and you interpret things differently. And, that was one thing also in this book that I loved was the generations. So you had an older man, Arthur, and also there's another character that comes in, Nigel, who they're in their 80s. And then Sloane and Greg are in their 20s. And then Maisie is in her 40s. And they all come together, which I just, as someone who's in a lot of groups and clubs where there's a lot of generations, I see that happen often. And it's just a cool thing when it does. The other quote I had, well, 2 things I wrote down, was when Arthur is talking about the book, The Art of Racing in the Rain, which the whole novel says that he hates that book and yada, yada. He finally, in his section, he goes, there, I said it. That book was a goddamn delight to my soul. I laughed so hard. And then also he admits, so his wife Jeannie had died years ago, and so he says Sloane the librarian didn't look a thing like Jeannie, but their souls had been forged in the same liquid fire, which shows why he had such a soft spot for Sloane all along. And I don't know, it's just one of those books that just makes me smile. So that's my 2 cents.
Love it.
Julie?
Yeah, I love this book as well. I agree with everything that Sarah said. And I had actually read the book last year. And then when I was invited to be on the podcast, I reread it and I enjoyed it just as much the second time as I did the first time. I love, like you said, Sarah, that it's these people that meet for inexplicable reasons and they just bond, and it's not really even like romantic love or whatever. They just belong in each other's lives. Like they just click. And being part of the running groups or, other groups that I've been in, yeah, I agree. You can see where that happens. You just meet somebody and then you can't imagine your life without them. And I love when I read a book, and even though it wasn't super descriptive, I could picture the neighborhood and Maisie's house and Arthur's house and Greg parked on the street and Sloane parked on the street, like, watching out for Arthur before they intervened. And, I could just picture everything. I could picture the library. I could picture, the different sections and everything. And so when it can be a movie in my mind, then I know that the writing is done well because they're hitting on something with me. Some of the quotes, like I think it's from page 1, when Arthur first came barreling into my life. I was in the fiction section restocking a bunch of titles someone had moved for the sake of an internet kudos. Just the fact that she said he came barreling into her life. I mean, we all know somebody who's come barreling into our life, and we know that they're going to be impactful just because they use that word, to describe how they came into our lives. I thought that was great. And then the descriptions without being descriptive. Sloane says, I always felt like an imposter when I wore it, a stranger in my own skin. People who wore black were important, thoughtful, worldly. And so that she doesn't feel that way about herself. And she's such a complicated character. When she says, I didn't love Brett Markowitz and I didn't love his family. I didn't love my parents. I'd never loved my old college roommates, and the friends I had now were more like work acquaintances than kindred spirits. Since the day my sister Emily died, her life snuffed short by a hole in her heart that no number of surgeries could fix. I hadn't loved anyone who didn't exist between the covers of a book. At this point, I wasn't even sure I knew how. I mean, that just sums up like Sloane in a way that you wouldn't be able to say that with 10 pages, because she's suffered this great loss and now it informs so much of who she is now. So yeah, I thought that. I mean, just the writing was just beautiful. Oh, and then I also had, I believe this was from Maisie. Say what you want, what you might about Arthur McLaughlin. I don't know how to say his last name. The man was erudite. I'd never been called God's pestilent uvula before, but it was a phrase I intended to throw in at every dinner party I attended for the rest of my natural born life. I love that. So yeah, it was just great. I mean, I love that I didn't find it cliche where everything kind of wrapped up in like a tidy little bow, where there was like a love connection and everybody lived happily ever after. There's still complications at the end, and but they've kind of made a step towards where they need to go. It's kind of what I looked at it as. So, yeah.
Excellent. Janene?
Yeah, great points. I would say overall, I'll be honest, like this wasn't a book that I would probably have reached for on my own, but I will say that I was pleasantly surprised at how relatable the book was. And I feel like it touched on just a really important part of the human condition, just that feeling of loneliness that maybe we all feel at one time or the other. And it really just kind of pointed to the fact that we all need community and we all need to value community and friendship. And it just made me recognize that we all should try to belong to something and have purpose, right? I think like one of my favorite sections in the book were Mateo, the chapters dedicated to Mateo's point of view, as well as Arthur's point of view. And overall, I would have to say Arthur was probably my favorite character. And the reason for that is because I don't know about you guys, but I've always said that I feel like people who maybe are not the nicest are are really the kindest people you can meet, in the sense that their honesty is they're honest and their kindness is not performative, right? And so, Maisie kind of talked a little bit about that, because she talked about her own personal crisis, as far as like the thing that maybe we all feel, but we're afraid to admit, where you're surrounded by people, but you still feel lonely. And I feel like she respects Arthur because he's genuine. She talked a little bit about how she struggled with having friends, because there'll always be people around that'll say, "Oh yeah, let's make plans," or "Feel free to reach out to me." But then when she does it, they don't have time or they don't call her back. And so for me, it's like there's no value in just being nice if you aren't going to be genuine. And for me, Arthur was so genuine, and I respected that through and through. One of my favorite parts was when Arthur met Brett's family. He instantly realized like how horrible they were. And then I made a note for myself and I'm like, why did Sloane feel like it was important to bring Arthur around these people?
But I think that's why.
I feel like she wanted him to blow it up.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly it. I think deep down inside, she knew Brett was not right for her, and she wanted someone. And I think she probably wanted someone else to see it, right? But that was my favorite part, because after meeting his family, that's when Arthur had his epiphany that he needed to wake up Sloane, and that he realized that what his true feelings for her were, that it wasn't just like this annoying girl who's coming into my house and shaking the table. This is someone that I really truly care for, so much so that I don't want her to make a bad decision. And so for me, that was like the big turning point for Arthur, where I as you're reading it, you kind of know deep down inside that Arthur is kind of like that crab, where he has a hard exterior but he's soft on the inside. But that's when it was really, I think, solidified for me. And then the other time that I really appreciated was when Maisie brought Arthur to spy on Nigel. And at first I'm like, where is this going? Like, this is like a little funny moment. But again, like you see that when Arthur has the binoculars and he's looking at Nigel and he's seeing Nigel read the book and start to break down, he just like, oh, you know what? Even though I don't like this person, I'm still going to give them their dignity and let them have that moment of privacy to cry on their own. So he tells Maisie to let's leave. So I just had so much respect for Arthur throughout the book. And then one of the quotes that stood out for me, just kind of going back to that feeling of feeling alone, right? I don't remember who said it, but I wrote it down. It says, "This world was a terrible place. It gave you people to love and then took them away before you stopped loving them. It made you mean and angry and cruel to those who needed you the most. It ground you down until it was all you could do to get through the day. But most of all, it tried to convince you that you were alone in your suffering." And I think each and every one of them thought that they were alone in their own personal sense of suffering. And the fact that they were able to come together to come to the realization that no, that there are people that I can connect with. my feelings do matter. My thoughts do matter. What I want out of life does matter. And I'm able to find this through community. So I think that was, for me, my biggest takeaway and why I appreciated the book so much.
Love all of that.
Yes, well said.
I won't have too much to add, because I think we've kind of hit on most of the things I was thinking, but I do appreciate, I think Sarah said like it was a nice, easy read. The past two books in this podcast were both very good, but they were very long and very intense reads. Cloud Cuckoo Land was just a very long and detailed book, and Sarah, I think you agree, like it was good, but it was long.
Right. I read these back to back, and I'm kind of glad I did, because it made me appreciate both for what they were. And I enjoyed them both greatly. But reading this after Club Cuckoo Land was like, oh, this is such a easy delight.
Yeah, then the last episode was the Song of Achilles, which was not as long as Cloud Cuckoo Land, but it was so much Greek mythology, and like you're like learning almost while like reading the book. It was nice to have like a nice easy read, and I did pick this because this episode is going to air the first week of February for a Valentine's Day read, because I thought that's where this book was heading, but it was not romantic at all.
Yeah.
And I
No, but it's
appreciate
like love of community and love of yourself.
right,
Right.
but like I appreciate it so much that she was not forced to be with Greg at the end. Like I thought that's
Yeah.
where this book was going. And I was like, this is not
It left the window open a little tiny bit, that if you wanted to think about it.
right.
Right.
But like we know how like a lot of romances work, where like timelines move way quicker than normal real life timelines. So I thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, but I like that it wasn't like, oh, everything is just wrapped up, like in a couple of weeks or a couple of months or whatever. They fall madly and deeply in love, and it's just kind of like, well, maybe that will happen. Maybe they'll continue to be friends. Yeah, the door was open.
And I did appreciate that Arthur was the last chapter. I think, Sarah, you may have touched on this, where like I think he needed to be the last section because it showed his full circle and like it revealed a lot of things. I think that if it was revealed early in the book, it would have ruined the storyline.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
I do have a number of quotes. Usually I go quote heavy with my section, since I let all three of you go before me and take up most of my talking points. It's really close. I think it's when Arthur first comes in the library, when Mateo says, he says everyone else here drains his brain cells by proximity. And I was like, oh, do I know people like that? Also very relatable is one of the days I work at the library, and Sloan goes, it's been a long day, that's all. Sloan, you've been here less than an hour. Fine. It's been a long week. It's literally Monday.
Yes, everybody has thought that.
Mateo's section when talking about Brett. I'm fun. He's not. I introduce joy and light into people's lives. He sucks everything good back out again. I think we've all known someone that a friend has dated that you just have not liked.
Yes.
And that was a perfect description.
And one point about Brett, like at the beginning, I'm like, I kind of feel bad for him. But by the end, you're like agreeing with everyone. And then when Brett wants to throw out all of Sloane's books,
No.
I may have audibly gasped.
Yeah. That's when I was done with him. I'm like, oh, this guy does not care about her.
I think that was her breaking point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you throw out my books, we're done.
Yeah.
Also, the scene when Mateo and his mom are performing on stage. Did anyone else think of the number from Schitt's Creek with Moira and David when this was happening?
I did not, but I could see that.
It was the first thing I thought of. I actually had to look up what they referenced it to in the show, because it's been so long since I've watched it. One of Arthur's really good, it wasn't a quote because it was an observation in his own head, but he said, she was in every book I ever read, every tale that has ever touched my heart. Fiction, nonfiction, memoir, and short story. No matter what I read, I always found her. It was why I resorted so often to thrillers and German philosophy in my declining years, even though Sloane did her best to steer me away from them. Some days I needed her to be near. Most days I couldn't bear the pain.
Mm.
And I think that's when you first, like, Arthur was kind of an ass for most of the book. You're like, that's so sad. I think Janene had touched on one of my other quotes, and I just think I had one more. And it's such a true statement with people like you meet early in life. And as for the rest, well, there isn't much, is there? I imagine you'll slip out of my life as easily as you slipped into it.
Hmm.
But also, that was sad. It's like that's how Brett surmised their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I had. Did anyone picture any actors for any of the characters in the book? Sarah, I know you were looking into it.
No, so for those who haven't been listening to the podcast, I'm not the best with picturing people, but this one I pictured a lot of characters as real actors, and I was proud of myself. There was a couple I couldn't quite pinpoint, and that's why Mike knows this. But so for Sloane, she was Zooey Deschanel to me. Or she was one of our good friends who is a librarian, which to me,
Jessica.
yeah, she is also Zooey Deschanel to me. So that one was that. Arthur, I went back and forth on a couple people, but he was definitely to me an older Hugh Laurie, which I adore Hugh Laurie, and he's always grumpy in most roles, and that's where I got Arthur. Maisie, I'm currently for the first time ever watching the show Shameless. And so Joan Cusack is in Shameless as a wacky, 40s, 50-year-old crazy lady. And so Maisie was Joan Cusack to me. And then Brett, I don't know if anyone knows Scott Porter or Potter. No, Porter. He's from Ginny and Georgia and Ginny, whatever that is. And a lot of Hallmark movies. He's kind of just that like very cute puppy dog guy. He immediately was him. And then Nigel I had as Andre DeShields, he's an amazing Broadway performer. And right away, I pictured him. So I feel like that was good for me. I pictured so many people.
That was very good for you.
Greg, I had Greg in my mind. I just pictured him as this big, like, hulking guy that seems scary, but it's a teddy bear. But I couldn't remember. Like, I can't think of what actor it would be. So.
Yeah, for Greg, they definitely, the number one thing was the size.
Yeah.
That he could seem intimidating, but he really wasn't. I was definitely struggling with Greg. I kept thinking like a Vince Vaughn, but not really, because, he would have to be a lot younger and maybe softer, if that's the right word. I have been watching Gilmore Girls. So if anybody has seen Gilmore Girls, I was picturing Melissa McCarthy in Gilmore Girls as Maisie.
Yep, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Because it just seemed like she would pull off the humor. She was always baking everything, so Melissa McCarthy, the Gilmore Girl years for Maisie. And then because I was watching Gilmore Girls, the only one I could think of for Greg was the one that plays her husband, Jackson, on the show, because he's really kind of big, but he might not have that kind of, I mean, he's definitely not what you would say like traditionally handsome or whatever, but I don't think Greg was like that either. Maybe attractive, but not like somebody like that was, drop dead gorgeous or whatever.
Right.
For Sloane, I kept thinking like, the same thing, like bookish. I love the idea of Zooey Deschanel. I did not think of that. I was thinking of Amelia Clark when she was in You Before Me, and she had like short, like brownish hair, and like she kind of had a bob. Amelia Clark from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So not what you would think of from Game of Thrones, but that specific role, she played like, a personal nurse or whatever. And she kind of had that like kind of meek, but then able to stand up for herself personality and look about her. For Arthur, I kept thinking of Tom Hanks because he played Ove in the movie A Man Called Ove, based on what was my favorite book that I read that year. A Man Called Ove was so good. I read the book. I watched the movie in like Dutch that I couldn't even understand anything they were saying, but I just had to absorb as much of that book and anything related to it as possible. And then they did actually make an American version with Tom Hanks, and he played this grumpy old, cantankerous man. And so I kept thinking of him for Arthur. For Mateo, maybe young Ricky Martin, you'd see him like kind of getting up there and singing with his mom and, but anyways, so that was my thought. Sorry, I kind of jumped in.
No, you're good.
Perfect.
Janene, anyone?
Yeah, all good ones, guys. So for Sloane, I feel like I said this the last time for the other book we read, but Dakota Johnson or Anne Hathaway. I could see them playing
Yep.
Arthur. I was like, okay, who's an older gentleman who could be maybe a little grumpy? And Anthony Hopkins came to mind. I thought he would be a good Arthur.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
For Nigel, I thought Danny Glover.
Oh yeah.
I've seen him play. I feel like he's an older, could be distinguished gentleman. I was trying to think of like, okay, who's a British character, but I couldn't really think of anyone who was older that I felt would fit it. So I was like, Danny can put on an accent.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for Maisie, I was between. I feel like it could go two ways because I feel like Maisie definitely brings the humor. So I said it could either be Reese Witherspoon, because I feel like she can kind of go back and forth really well, or Jennifer Coolidge. I like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I was like, Jennifer would be like the goof, like could really be like the goofy character, could really play like those high emotion moments really well. And like I think the time when I really saw her playing that part was when she dropped the enchiladas outside of the book club. And I was like, oh, that could definitely be something that Jennifer Coolidge might do. So I had a hard time too trying to find who I could picture for Greg, so I didn't really think of anyone for him. And then for Mateo, this person isn't really an actor per se, but I could see him playing this role. I don't know if you guys are. He's on social media. His name is Bretman Rock. I don't know if you guys know him. But I feel like he's whimsical enough and he could bring like that humor and that sass that Mateo brings. I thought he would probably be a good fit if he was ever interested in acting.
For when we cast them all.
Nice.
I definitely had a hard time casting the book. I think as these episodes have been going on, I'm getting worse at this as we go.
Am I rubbing off on you?
Yeah, I think we're switching spots. I only had two, and actually one just came to me because in some of the descriptions. So for Greg, because we kept talking about like him being like a bigger person, I thought of the guy who plays Reacher. Has anyone seen Reacher on Prime?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then he might be too attractive to play Greg. And then for Arthur, I thought of Brian Cox, but specifically from Succession.
Okay. Nice.
But those are the only ones that I could think about casting.
Nice. Before you go to the next section,
yeah,
just something I meant to bring up when we were talking about the book. I really loved the idea of highlighting passages in a book to give someone as a gift or a message. I can't ever imagine, that must take so much time. And Anne of Green Gables is such a wonderful book that that whole theme just made me a little teary-eyed the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just wanted to bring up the highlighting.
No, I'm glad you did, because that was definitely a significant part of the book, because they talked about it and they kind of breadcrumbed it through, and then at the end is where it all made sense and it came together.
And the fact that they did it for Sloane, and they didn't need to, because at that point she already made her decision on her own, but then it was just very well done.
How mad would you be to waste all that time? And you're like, wait, I need to do this? You already made the decision?
You know she's going to cherish that forever, though.
Yeah. She is. It did make me want to read Anne of Green Gables again, so I might actually pick that up again.
I put it on my Hulu.
I don't think I've ever read it.
I mean, you're
I have either.
I was going to say it's a very little girl book, I feel like. But it's good for my dad just recently read it, so.
I've seen the show. in the theater.
That's actually when I bought my dad the book, was after they did it at Goodspeed. I
Oh,
bought
yeah.
the first one so that he could read it, and he loved it.
They have a version of it too on Netflix called Anne with an E, and I loved it. And they canceled it before they could really complete the series, and I'm still not over it.
Ugh.
Aw.
Netflix loves doing that.
Don't even get me started.
Or they drag things out too long, like 3 years between Stranger Things seasons.
Yes.
We will combo the last two questions into one answer. So, would you read anything else by the author? And did you find the ending of this book satisfying? Janene.
Yes, I think I would absolutely read more from the author. And the other part of it too is I did find the end of the book satisfying. I loved how they all came together. And I think Julie said this, that it didn't end neatly with a bow. Like you were kind of you did know that everyone was on the path that they were supposed to be in. They really truly found themselves, but it still wasn't perfect, which is fine because life isn't perfect, right? We make the best out of what we have, and I think all of them did that, and they did it in such a powerful way. So yes, I enjoyed the ending.
Julie.
Yes, I would definitely read something else from her. And yes, I did find it very satisfying, the ending. There's still issues. Maisie's daughter is still, not home. I don't know how many spoilers we want to give, but, there's still all these issues, but, they're on the right path. So I liked it very much.
Sarah.
Absolutely. I actually had another one of her books already on my want to read list. So I definitely would read more. And as usual, I always want a little more, but it's just because I love the characters and I never want it to end. But I did love, like we all said, I loved that you were able to use your own imagination as to what would happen next to them all. You could see them keeping the book club going. You could see Maisie and Sloane becoming really good friends. That little hint of maybe something with Greg and Sloane in 3 years, maybe. There was a lot of things you can imagine. And I do think that if she ever wanted to write a book too and set it 10 years from now, it would totally work.
Mm.
I definitely would read something else by the author. I didn't even look to see what else she has, so I'll have to jump on Goodreads later and look her up and see what else there is. And I think, like I said, I was satisfied the ending just because I was just happy it didn't force the romance at the end with Greg and Sloane. So I think that was the one thing I was holding breath on as the book was coming to an end. And when it didn't happen, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I would have been upset if it did happen. I'm not, even though there was a tiny window for me, I would have not liked if it happened.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I think it's important that she didn't do it, because I think her whole goal for Sloane was to just kind of find a sense of freedom and have Sloane live her truth. And I feel like by throwing Sloane back into another relationship, it just dilutes that. So I'm glad that she didn't.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we move on to our bullshit section of the podcast?
Not for me.
Nope. Just everyone should give this book a read. It was a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. First topic is the public library system. We'll do a roundtable per usual. I'm going to combine a couple of questions into one answer to make it easier. Do you have a library card? And do you use your public library? And on average, how many books do you take out when you visit the library? Sarah.
I literally wrote duh next to this question. Yes, I have a library card. I love my library. It makes me happy. And so I try not to take out too many books, but as Mike knows, every time I go to pick up a book I have on hold, I end up leaving with 3 books. I guessed maybe I average 1 to 3 per month, but I don't really know.
Janene.
So yes, I do have a library card, and I do use my library card. Same for me. I don't like to take out too many books because I can only read them in such a short period of time. And I have one now that I took out, and I'm and I need to hurry up and read it before I have to send it back. But I do go to a library a lot more now than I did in the past because, I have a little one, and rather than buying her a million books, it's just better that we go and she picks out her own books. So for like myself, I'll try to limit it to maybe like one or two. For her, we can maybe do maybe like three because, her books are shorter and you can get through them a lot faster. But I enjoy my library too.
That's actually really smart that you bring her to get books from the library instead of buying them, because then you don't have to read the same book over and over and over again because it's in the house.
That's the exact reason why we go, because we will absolutely read the same books over and over, and we'll go back through and I'm like, oh, we read this already. But there are some books she wants to read over and over again. So I just let that happen. But I personally, just to keep me interested in it, I have to like keep it fresh.
Julie?
Yes, I do have a library card. I use the library almost exclusively for Libby and Hoopla because I read often on an e-reader, not exclusively, but often. And when I realized I could get library books through the app instead of buying every book that I read, I basically saved enough money to go to like London, Paris, and France in 18 months. So, I mean, I was buying a lot of books, and I don't know. So I love the library. I think it's a great, great source, and we have a great library here in Middletown. So Russell Library, woohoo! So yeah, and there's still books from when my kids were little that I still have memorized because I read them so often. They would go to the library, but we had a lot of books around the house, and yeah, I'd read them over and over and over and over again.
I obviously have a library card and I do use the public library. It's funny. I think this happened after Sarah went and got one and then ended up with three because she had a book on hold. So I think I went like the next day after she had texted me this, and I'm going to the library. I'm like, you have one book on hold. You are going to walk into the library. You're going to take that book off the hold shelf, check that one book out, and then leave. And then I texted a picture from my car to Sarah that showed 6 books on my passenger seat.
It's impossible. It's really hard.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's 6 books I didn't spend money on if I get to reading all of them. But I think on average, when I do take books out, it is like 1 to 3, like Sarah said. But I do use it more for Libby and Hoopla than going to the physical library. And I think Sarah and Janene, we didn't touch on your usage of Libby and Hoopla with yours, so feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I have both.
Me too. And I just recently got a Kindle, and so I'm trying to be better with using the Kindle more, but I tend to only use it on vacation. So I do stock up my Libby holds for vacation, and then it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna buy a Kindle. I had a Nook, and I think maybe like 2 years ago they stopped adding new books to the Nook library. So that was a bummer because for traveling, I don't like to carry heavy books because I already am an overpacker. So adding books to that is tough. So that's one of the reasons why I got into Libby and Hoopla, because it makes it so much easier. So if I'm reading a book at home, I could just turn on the audiobook and listen to it on the plane.
Right. Yeah, I know Mike and Brendan really helped me figure out what Kindle would be the best for me. And it really, especially for traveling, because a lot of times, just like you, like we overpack because we do a lot of camping trips and we're bringing like way too much stuff. So for me to bring like 6 to 8 books on top of that, my husband would murder me. So
Should we share with them the hot tip that you and I use with our Kindle?
sure.
So if you have a bunch of Libby things on your shelf, or if you're using Kindle Unlimited and you either need to return your books on Libby or you're getting rid of your Kindle Unlimited membership, throw your Kindle on airplane mode. It'll return your books to Libby, but they'll stay on your Kindle until you take your Kindle off airplane mode.
Oh, that's so smart.
Nice.
So Mike made fun of me because I went on a trip in February, I think, and I had taken out a whole bunch of books from Libby, as well as I had the Kindle Unlimited, and I didn't turn my Kindle off airplane mode until about August.
You got to get through them all.
And because I got through them all finally, and it was great. And I know it's cheating the system, but I don't feel like it was hurting anyone.
Well, because like it's still returning the book so the next person can get it. So
Right,
it's not holding up the return.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you use your library for anything else other than lending books? I'll start and say no. Sarah?
That's a lie. You use it for your book sales.
Yeah, I go to the library used book sale.
So yes, the book sales. I wrote down the summer reading activity at ours because to me that's a community thing. We have museum passes and different passes for different things. We sometimes grab those. They do a lot of activities, and recently my husband did like a woodworking activity there. So I keep an eye on everything, but books are the main thing.
Yeah. Same for me. I subscribed to the newsletter and I signed up for the kid space because they have a lot of really good programs for little ones. And I'm always like trying to keep very busy. So yeah, even if we don't go to for books, like we'll go for other things. Like if it's like like a story time or arts and crafts event. They had an event maybe last summer where they had Moana, Cinderella, and Ariel come and they sang for the kids. So they're always doing something fun.
Nice.
Julie?
I haven't. I've been to a couple of talks that they've had on different topics, but I haven't been to too many things at our library, and I probably should look into more of what's available. But yeah, mostly just for getting the books.
Oh, I also renewed my passport at the library, and it was a very easy, seamless thing to do.
Really?
Yeah. It
Wow.
was so you just have to make an appointment, and they like do it all for you. Basically, it's amazing.
Nice.
Huh. What is something you wish your library did or did more of? Janene?
I can answer this because I was thinking about this the other day when I saw the calendar that came out. So they are so good about doing events for school age kids, teenagers, and elderly people, but they don't have anything for just middle age and young adults. I would love if they would to do like a boozy mixer with books. Like I would love something like that because I like books and I like alcohol and
Me too.
that's why I jumped at the chance to be on Mike's podcast because I'm like those are literally the two things that I like and I would love if they had more mixers like that. I think that would be a great addition.
Sarah?
I'll ditto that. That's a great idea. Our library does a lot for young adults, and they do a good amount of things for adults, but it's often like the knitting group or
Yeah.
the history of the town and things like that. I almost, and this is a very dorky admission, they do a puzzle competition where it's like this speed doing a puzzle, I almost decided to sign up me and a couple friends for that, but I refrained.
Julie?
Hey, I'm going to go with Janine's answer. I think it would be great to have like more book clubs or mixers and that kind of thing. I did get for my book club once, I took out books from the library and this was actually not in my town, but it was where I worked. I went to their library. They had book club kits where they'd have like a little tote bag with, I think it was like 8 books. So if you had up to a book club with up to 8 people, all, the same book, and you just bring it and it's your whole, the
That's
next.
so smart.
Was that
Yeah.
Cromwell, Julie?
Yeah.
It was Rocky Hill. Yeah.
Because I see, like, I was going to say, my one was going to be, I wish that the library did more book clubs for, like, our age group. And Cromwell does a great job with that. They have a couple of different ones. And they meet once a month, but it's like a different genre each week, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
But I like that idea about the bag of book club books. That's really smart.
Yeah, because usually in our book club, some will listen to it, some will read it, some will use an e-reader. And so this was kind of neat to show up with like all the books, and hand them out and then, collect them at the end and bring them back.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I wish, like, I I know my library doesn't do this. I'm not sure if others do, but this would be like kind of like a selfish thing. I wish there was like more like a local author push, like a little like display or something. Like I know Weathersfield doesn't do it.
Berlin definitely does, and I've thought of you because they do, where it's the local talk sort of thing, and it often doesn't just have Berlin authors. It's like kind of the surrounding area.
I mean, it's surprising that they wouldn't. Like, what is the downside of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost, it should be like almost a no-brainer, right?
Right.
Maybe I'll have to push for this to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And last question on the topic: if you were a librarian, what department would you want to lead, Julie?
Oh, definitely kids. I would love to work with kids.
Janene?
Yeah, I'm the same. I like to work with kids. I like that you don't have to be quiet in the kid space. I like to give all the toys and get creative. Yeah, that's definitely where I would want to be.
Sarah?
So I did work in the library when I was at college, and it still might be one of my favorite jobs ever. And so I would love to work in any space, but one of my favorite things to do at the library was shelving the books and organizing the books because I'm a big dork. And there was just something about being out on the stacks and being with the books, as dorky as that sounds. So I wouldn't mind doing the behind the scenes stuff.
Nice.
I don't think that's dorky at all.
Nerd.
I am a nerd, and I'm a proud nerd. You used to visit me all the time in those stacks.
I did. I think I would want to lead the young adult department just because I usually like a lot of young adult books. And I feel like I'd like to have some influence on like displays and like promoting certain books.
Yeah. That's good.
All right. So that brings us to our second topic of the bullshit section of the podcast, which is the Winter Olympics. Since when this episode airs, it'll be a couple of days before the Winter Olympics kicks off. So we're going to start with, what are your favorite Winter Olympic events? Sarah, since you yayed, you can go first.
So I literally pulled up the list of events because I was writing them down. And I'm like, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm pretty sure the only event I don't really love to have to watch is hockey. And so our favorites are like snowboarding. We love like the half pipe and the snowboard cross. And we watch the skiing because it's the same excitement. We love curling. Bobsled and luge and skeleton are cool to watch. I like a lot of like the fast action stuff, so like the speed skating. So yeah, I mean, I like it all.
Julie?
Yeah, I would have a hard time finding one of the sports that I would not want to watch. I mean, yeah, maybe something like the team things like hockey or whatever, but I mean, you could even find me watching like the biathlon or whatever where they're cross country skiing and shooting.
Yeah.
And
See,
my
that's the one
toxic
I listed as like, why is this an Olympic sport?
my toxic trait is, if you were in the Olympics, what do you think you could do? I'm like, I could probably do that because I have cross country skied before and I'm a pretty good shot. So like, your toxic trait thinking like I could be in the Olympics if I just trained a little bit. But yeah, I like all of them. Obviously, the figure skating with the costumes and the ice dancing and all that. I love to see what music they're going to pick and how they, choreograph it and the musicality and all that. So, but they're all great. Are we at the one sport that I think they shouldn't have yet?
Well, yeah, I mine was biathlon, so let's hear what yours is.
Mine is them making people who have jobs stay up until midnight so they can watch like figure skating or something. I mean, it's not even prime time. It's like overnight. And yeah, I that's the sport that they should do without.
Before we go to Janene, Sarah, what was the one that you questioned being in the games?
I wrote none, ?
All right.
I don't know. It's funny with Winter Olympics. When I went down the list, I enjoy even the cross country and the shooting. I'm amazed by it. So and while I don't watch it all, I'll watch it quickly and be impressed.
Janene?
Yeah. So for me, my favorite has always been the figure skating. Ever since I was a little girl, same thing. I just love their costumes. I love the music. I love to see when the couples skated, the individuals. Hands down, that's my favorite. And I've been trying. I would try to like get Zuri into it, and she's just like not into it. But so I'll just watch it selfishly by myself. As far as the one that I don't think belongs, that was hard. But until you mentioned the cross country shooting, I was like Sarah would in regards to thinking like, oh no, everything like belongs. I think everything is interesting. But yeah, when you bring up the cross country shooting, I'm like, what is? Yeah, I don't understand how that equates to a winter sport. Like you could do that at any time.
Is that the breakdancing of Winter Olympics?
But it's
Yes.
It's the combination of it because your heart rate is elevated, and so that to get a good shot is really
You have
hard.
to calm down, right?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Sorry, I like that I'm arguing a sport that I don't understand
that's
at all.
No, you know what? You're educating me, and you're probably educating someone else who's listening who just didn't see the purpose of it. But no, everything else like I love. Like I like the bobsledding. I like the curling. I always think the curling is cool. The speed skating, but my favorite is the figure skating.
So it's funny. When we were in college, we would watch the Winter Olympics in the calf. And when curling would come on, like our whole table was like, what the hell is this nonsense? And now like we all fucking love curling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's so intense. And then, they're just like scrubbing the ground and they're trying to make the little thing go. And you're just like, oh, this is awesome.
Like I think it was the last Winter Olympics, like one of them, the US was playing at like 5 a.m. one weekday morning. And I literally woke up to watch it. But I also like the skiing and snowboarding, and I think like most people said the figure skating, just because I think like the fans for figure skating are some of the more ruthless ones of all the Winter Olympic sports. Like you want your person, your country to win, and then you're rooting for everyone else to fall.
Yeah. A lot of drama there.
Yeah. All right, so be honest, how much time do you dedicate to watching the Winter Olympics when they're on? For me, it's as many possible waking hours as I have. Julie?
Yeah, I will definitely set aside time and like suspend projects and everything else to make time for it. Yeah, I love watching as much as I can.
Janene?
Yeah. For me, I don't necessarily dedicate time to it, but my husband and I will definitely turn it on in the background and we'll kind of like pop in and out like, oh, this is going on, this looks interesting, and we'll sit down and watch certain things. But so yeah, I would say it's on in the house in the background as, and we pop in as needed.
Sarah?
Yeah, we definitely like pause all other shows and we record a lot of it. And as Mike likes to cringe, we often like watch things a day later. So we watch a lot of it, but it was to the point the last Olympics, like we were watching stuff like 2 weeks later, and finally my husband and I were like, okay, we got to call it. Like we got to delete whatever's left, and it already happened. We know the results already.
Yeah, forget like what event it was. Like we were hanging out the next day, and you're like, don't say anything. I haven't watched it. I'm like, how?
I think that was the World Cup.
Oh, was that the World Cup?
I think that was the World Cup. We ended up coming late to a party because we started it 2 hours late because we didn't want to have to watch commercials. We don't need to know things live. We just need to know things. We watch too much Olympics.
I will say I'm not upset to be going on vacation, but I'm going to miss the first day of Olympics because we're flying back like the Saturday when Olympics starts. So hopefully there's not any big events the first day.
One thing I'll like to point out, because it wasn't like as part of the prompts, but Mike J once for one of his birthday parties did an Olympic themed birthday party because he loves the Olympics so much, and gave out medals for the different events we had to play. It was a really fun time, and I still have some of my medals in my house.
Nice.
We should do that again.
It was really fun. We should.
You should do it every 4 years.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been a while. What was that? Probably your like 22nd birthday?
That was definitely probably late 20s.
Yep.
And what Olympic sport would you do, Sarah?
I would love to do snowboard cross. It gets so gnarly. I would be terrible at it because I can't even snowboard down like the bunny hill. But snowboard cross would be what I would be motivated to train for.
Janene?
My first choice would be obviously figure skating, but I don't think I'm as athletic enough as required to be a full figure skater. So I would say my number 2 choice would be the curling. I think I could train for that reasonably and be okay at it.
I think we could all make it on a curling team if we tried hard enough.
Yeah. Since Janene said it, I'll go next. Mine was curling because I was like, it's more skill than like athletic ability to do curling.
Yeah.
Like you could be in any shape and you'll be able to be on a curling team.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Julie?
Definitely. Yeah, curling would probably, I'd be the one with the broom. So that's what I would do. Or like I said, thinking that I could do the biathlon just because I don't know. I feel like you could train for that. It's not like downhill skiing where, you're gonna die if you make a wrong turn or something.
You like twitch a certain way, you're dead.
Yeah, forget about it.
And since this is a book podcast, have you read any books that involve the Winter Olympics? I will go first. I've read The Favorites and Heated Rivalry, and I recommend both of them. Janene?
I have not, but I will say when I was younger, there was a book series. It was called like The Silver Blades, and it was around figure skating. So it wasn't like specific to Winter Olympics, but it was about figure skating, and I enjoyed it.
Julie?
I have not read any books centered around the Winter Olympics. The closest I would say is I read Beartown, and that was about a hockey team. But
I just read Beartown.
And yeah, so we'll have to discuss that off air with if you liked it or not. And yeah, so that would be the closest.
Sarah?
I also read The Favorites, and I'll recommend to everyone else that you should listen to the audiobook version of it because it was excellent.
Agreed.
Yes.
All right. So that brings us to the rapid reaction segment. Julie, you're new, but I think you are familiar with how this works.
Yep.
And so give you 6 topics and give your immediate one or couple word reaction since it seems like some of our guests can't keep things down to one word.
It's a brief response.
Yeah, that's right. We decided it was going to be a brief response. So some of these will be multiple choice and some of them will be straight up reaction. We're going to start with Janene.
Okay.
Romance or horror books?
Horror.
Junior mints.
Ew.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, that's tough. Dogs.
Robert Pattinson.
No.
Chicken parm or chicken marsala?
Chicken parm.
The New England Patriots.
Ew.
Yes. Julie?
Okay.
Historical fiction or fantasy?
Historical fiction.
Gobstoppers.
Ew.
Cats or dogs?
Ooh, can I say both or
Cats or dogs?
Dog.
Christian Bale.
Batman.
Or chicken piccata?
What was the first one?
Chicken marsala or chicken piccata?
Chicken piccata.
The New England Patriots.
Are going to the Super Bowl.
I don't like that, but it's actually going to happen.
It's a good chance.
Since the other team's quarterback broke his ankle at the end of the game.
That's no good.
Huh?
That's no good.
No.
Yeah,
But that means
so
the Patriots
team
have
that they play. Yeah.
Patriots have a cakewalk to get to the Super Bowl now. Sarah?
Yes.
Romance or thriller?
Romance.
Bunch of Crunch.
Okay.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Ben Affleck.
Love.
Chicken piccata or chicken parm?
Chicken parm.
New England Patriots.
I really don't care, but I'm happy for people who care.
Such a brief answer.
Sorry. I know a lot of Pats fans lately.
So just as a hint on some of the topics, the candy were all the movie theater style boxes, and the actors were all people who played Batman.
Oh.
Remember when we touched Ben Affleck?
We did. He came to Central when we were in college, and we all had to touch him as he walked by.
Really?
He was helping Senator Chris Murphy run for Senate.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm a big fangirl, so.
And this was like peak Ben Affleck time. That was like mid 2000s.
Yeah.
I wonder if he thinks about that.
All these people groped me at this small state college in Connecticut.
He just lightly touched his arm. Like, it wasn't anything crazy.
Keep telling yourself that. All right. Well, that concludes this week's episode. Thank you to our guests for joining. As always, follow us on our